Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. Presented by Carolina Lightweights. Come grip with us. When the action begins in the studio, our referees for tonight's event are Elgato Azul and Carolina Real Streamers. For the slime lovers in attendance and YouTube and Facebook users from around the world, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Live from the Elgato Azul TV studio in Louisville, Texas, it's time!
That intro, it makes me laugh every time. What's up, slime lovers? Welcome to the Slime Show. I'm your host, Chris, a.k.a. Elgato Azul. It's my partner in slime down here, Mr. Jamie Dunn, Carolina Lightweights. Over here, we got the King of Tennessee, the legend, Micah Burkhart. Welcome in, Micah.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on the show tonight. We've had Mike on. Most everybody that watches this is a weekly watcher, so we had Mike on I think episode 9. We talked about mostly his record, and that is the Texas Tornado.
Right off the bat.
Say hello to the people.
Hello.
What's up, buddy?
All right, we just got started, so
Give me that.
you can take that if Mom will let you do it.
Get the iPad.
So we had Mike on episode 9. We talked about his record-breaking feats. It was a super popular show. Everybody's excited when to get to hear Micah and his story. But he wanted to come on. He called me texted me a couple weeks ago and said that he'd like to come on. We've been discussing maybe doing some just discussing how he gets on his fish, what to look for. And, I'm going to have Mike on anytime he wants because he's a good friend of the show. He's a great teammate of mine over at Mad Cats. We're teammates over at Smackdown Catfishing. So let's get this party started, boys.
That's it.
Mike had a good day on the river today, but before we get into anything, let's run down the list and we'll say what's up to our people tonight. So Pontoon Jody says first, welcome in, Jody. We got Jeff Martin, one of my hometown boys. We got Fishing with Big Mike. What's up, Big Mike? We got Rippin' Lips Fishing. We've got Tyler Kieson, if I said that right. We got Alan Lancaster. Welcome in, boys. We got JP Parker Pursuits. We had him on the show. That was a great bank show. Jerry, he's been hammering them, man. He's been lighting them up on the river. He's a Mississippi River boy. Welcome in, Jerry. We got Poor Boy Catfishing. Hey, I see he's doing your T-shirts and hats.
Yeah, he is doing a good job with them too.
Team Redneck Fishing. So he does a great job. He made a cool decal for my son, Action Jackson, the Texas Tornado. Let's see. It's skipped down. Here we go. Donate Like Catfishing. That's one of our Carolina Lakeway's teammates. Welcome in, Terry. We got Eagle Eyes Tienda. He's one of my Texas slime brothers. He's also Operation Vets with Nets, which we're all on the Operation Vets with Nets team here. So welcome in. We got Facebook user. We cannot see who the Facebook users are, but if you'll log in to Elgato Azul TV on YouTube, we can see who you are. If not, that's fine too. We got El Catfish Grande. That's one of my local boys. He's been crappie fishing, so we won't hold that against him. But it's catfish season now, Grande. So get your stuff rigged up. We got JTC, Jeremy Tournament Cats, in the house. That's one of our Carolina Lakeway's teammates. He's my teammate over at Demon Dragon. And he was the first guy with Carolina Lakeweights. So welcome in, JTC. We got Indiana Chris Usselton. Welcome in, buddy. He's been to Texas once. People were very nice. The people that are from Texas are very nice. We got a lot of move-ins. We got Bart Kraft. Welcome in, Bart. He's one of our Carolina Lake Weights teammates. Another Facebook user. We got Twisted Whisker Catfishing. Welcome in, buddy. We got Pastor Billy Beaver in the house. Billy was on TikTok today promoting Carolina Lake Weights. Man, he did a great job. He's showing off a care package that Jamie had sent him. Tons of cool gear. He had the slime show hat, which I was like, damn, we're famous. And he showed off Action Jackson's hooks and a bunch of the rattles y'all sent him, Jamie. They were super loud. You could hear them just on microphone. It was like, dang, those things are loud. But welcome in, Billy. We got Monster Cat Mafia. That's which Monster Cat are you? Thomas Esslinger? That's probably Thomas. We got Fish On Marine Electronics. That is my buddy Voskin. He's been doing my installs for the past 10 years. He takes such great care of all my people that I send his way. He's a good friend to me and really a great guy. If you're local and you need good equipment, Voskin's got top-notch stuff. We got Jeremy with Creole Catfishing. Welcome in, Jeremy. Let's see, Michael Letty. Welcome in, Michael. Appreciate you coming in, buddy. I got some hooks I'm going to send to you. I'm probably going to send you a bait towel and some other stuff too, bud. So, Michael, he sent me a sign. He's the guy who's linked with Jimmy Houston. We're trying to get Jimmy on the show. He sent me a signed hat from Jimmy, which I thought was awesome. So appreciate you, Michael. We got Flathead Luke's in the house. That's one of our new Carolina Lake Weights teammates. Luke, I wish my son was in here. Man, he was super fired up. I told him on the show last week that you were on the team, and he was like, yippee. So welcome to the family, buddy. Can't wait to see you at CatCon. Moving on to Brandon Ladd. Welcome in, another Tennessee boy. Welcome in, Brandon. And Cookies Outdoors. That's another guy we've had on the show. That's Alexander Doty. We got Jay Evans, one of my hometown boys. Welcome in, Jay. We got a good group in here, so appreciate everybody stopping in.
Need to take a break after that, man. We got a lot of people here.
So tonight it's going to be a good show. We got Micah. He's going to be talking about what to look for in the river and he's a monster hunter like a lot of us. He's going for big fish. So Micah sent me some pictures, some Navionics mapping and stuff from when he was on the water today. Let's hear what you did, Micah.
Okay, so, first off, I'll say that I use Navionics, which I know there's a lot of way better maps out there. I'm sure there is. I've seen a few. Humminbird's got some awesome ones. Garmin's got some great ones.
I like Navionics because I like the phone app.
Well, yeah, but the Navionics cards, they're simple. And I think that's where of course, I've been reading them for years, so that's all I'll ever stick with, I think, unless they just, they go obsolete and I don't have them no more. But yeah, it's just a good map. It doesn't really matter which map you use, but you got to study that map, right? So it's not only, sitting in front of the computer and, okay, yeah, that looks like a cool spot. It's actually getting out on the water and looking at that particular spot and seeing, the differences. Once we get into the pictures, I'll explain a little bit more about that.
So I'll ask you this. When you get out there after you've looked at your Navionics, how often is it not quite the same?
Well,
you're in a river, and Jamie talks about all the time, the river's constantly changing.
Because it's because right now we're at Winter Pool, so it's it is different than what it says on the app or on my map because I never update it. I don't need to.
Depth-wise, it's different.
Yeah, so I get it.
Stay the same, pretty much.
They do. The only thing you got to really pay attention to is like, again, once we get into the pictures, you'll see like an underwater point. What I would say is an underwater point. Well, it could rise or it could be an actual depression. And so the contour lines kind of mess you up on that. But you won't know that until you actually scan it and go across it.
Brandon says the new Premium VX by Lake Masters is by far the best he's seen. Plus, I got it on my phone. So, I bought every mapping card because I travel fish a lot, and and most of the timber in the lakes is not shown on these mapping cards. And if you're not familiar with the lake and you go on one and it's not showing the timber, and you got stumps a foot below the water out in 50 foot of water.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, that's good to know.
I would like to know, Brandon, does it show timber? I'll go buy that thing. I got 3 mapping cards. I like Navionics because it shows more contours.
Yeah. But it's just paying attention to the contours. It's, and like I said, getting out there and actually, scanning the area, which I say scan the area, which I do use down scan and side scan. But I honestly, I rely on my sonar. That's, again, that's something I've read for years.
That 2D.
Yeah, 2D sonar.
2D.
Yeah. And I've read it for years, and I can understand it way better as far as like what's down there. The fish that I'm trying to target, is that it? I kind of understand it a lot more now than I used to. But
species identification's pretty much self-explanatory.
Yeah, and then, you factor in time of day, and you factor in currents. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. You know what I mean? And so we were talking about I remember, I think it was the last time I was on this show, we talked about the moon, right?
Yeah.
So we talked about how that affects the fish one way or the other. Okay, so I don't think I clarified my answer on that, and I don't think we actually got into it a whole lot, which I understand if you get into the scientific part of it, it may have something to do with it. Only thing I figure out is that what it does when it's a full moon, you got clear water, like not muddy, water, is it allows a much, much, much longer feeding window for these fish because it's bright enough. And so that's why people always say that, the next day or whatever on a full moon, it's hard to catch fish. Well, hell, they fed all night,
That's kind of how I look at it. When guys are like, it's a full moon, I ain't even going. I'm like, I'm going. I'm just going to go.
Well, I mean, honestly,
to the lake real early. I mean,
yeah, honestly, when it is a full moon, like the start of the full moon, that's when you want to go.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you want to be out there because they're feeding. That's exactly what they're doing, is they're eating it, but they just eat all night. And 90% of the people,
I think, for sure.
Yeah, and 90% of the people that fish are not fishing at night during the full moon. So they'll go out the next day and be like, oh, we had that full moon last night. They ain't gonna bite, or it messes the fish up. Well, it doesn't. They can eat longer,
Yeah.
And so they're just gonna sit down on the bottom and be fat and happy until they're hungry again.
Yeah, and just because you start at 7 a.m. and they're not hungry because they fed all night, doesn't mean they're not going to want lunch. I mean,
that's very true.
Oh, they only eat every so often. I'm like, well, how often these are big fat guys we're dealing with. How often does a big fat guy eat? He might eat a bunch and then honestly not eat for a little while, but then lunchtime comes, he's ready to eat again.
Yeah.
And honestly, that 10:30 to 2:30 mark on full moon, I find it to be real good up in that area or that time, on that full moon.
I think the 1 o'clock hour, for whatever reason, in the fall and winter time, can be really good on a full moon. Guys are like, man, it's gonna suck. I'm like, it might take us a while to get going, but I bet they fire up and turn on around 1 and at 1 o'clock, we'll start getting them. And guys on the live stream are like, damn, you called it, man. But that ain't all the time. But,
Well, like I said, I proved something to myself one day. And actually, I've done it with a couple other guys that I've taken fishing. Like, we'll come across an area, we'll drag it, whatever we're doing, and I'll see the fish down there. I'll see it. And I'm like, man, I said, okay, we'll go across it. He may not bite, and he may not have. I may have to go across that spot 3 times, but I will catch that fish. And so it's just a matter of being there whenever they want to eat, because you can see them all day long. I've seen hundreds of fish that I would love to have on the deck of my boat, but they got to eat. They got to want to be hungry. But if you find one and then you just keep working him, it's just a matter of time. And it may not be that day, but it's just a matter of time before you get that fish to commit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's going to take probably 2 to 3, maybe even 4 times going over that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of guys are like, man, I went over that area, didn't catch any, and I noticed you just went over it right after me. What'd you get? I'm like, you ain't gonna know, buddy, because your feelings about to get hurt.
Yeah, it's just timing. I mean, we all know that. It's just timing, being there at the right time. When they want to eat. Because I've scanned, I don't know how many miles of water, and found big fish. But it's just getting them to commit, because when they're big like that, they don't have to do a whole lot. You know what I mean? They don't have to chase bait down. They don't have to really
talked
do
about
nothing.
that last week, Micah. The bigger the fish, the more lazy they are when they eat, but they also just got a different way of feeding where when something gets close by, they just suck it in. And we had graph pics of big fish laying on a ledge, and the bait didn't even realize he was there, because he just laid up on this ledge just waiting for it to go over. And if a fish is real active and having to swim around to get it, you'll see bait balls and stuff balled up and pushed up, but that's not necessarily the case when you're around the biggest fish.
Because they're just hanging out, because they like I think me and you talked about this. The bigger they are, obviously their forage is bigger, so they can, if you get a 50-pound fish, well, hell, he can eat a 5-pound bait.
I know. I've seen a 50-pound blue cat floating belly up in the lake with a 10.5-pound black bass lodged in his gullet. It's like, I'm like, damn, that boy, he's trying to get it. He ended up killing him. But
really,
it killed him. He was floating upside down with a big 10-pound bass hanging out of his mouth. So, but I think, from my experience, a 30-pound fish has no problem eating a 2-pound bait.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
50, 60-pound fish can eat a 4-pound bait. 70-pound fish, you're talking 10-pound baits they can eat in just one feeding, a 10-pounder. So,
see, that's what makes a lot of the especially in my stretch of the river, and I would say pretty much all over, is that we got these Asian carp. So the problem with them is not so much that they're thick as they are, but see, they breed 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And
so, I don't think the predatorial fish can keep up with that.
They can't. But when they do, it's not so much, reducing the numbers. It's more so that you always have a full stock of,
for the big guys,
12 to 14.
The big guys can keep going.
Yeah. So
there's no limit really to how big a blue cat can get. Besides, I mean, what limits them is nature. Is how stressed out the summer is, or it's the extenuating circumstances that kill blue cats. They don't really have a lifespan, is from what I understand from what the biologists say. It's stress that kills them. So,
but that's why it's like, I go out there and I'll catch, I ain't gonna say a lot of big fish, but I do pretty well on the, 30s, 40s and 50s, stuff like that. But because we have so much competition in the river, because of the Asian carp, because of the, white bass are they're thick. That's why I was using them for bait earlier this year. Then now the skipjack are running, the shad. Last 2 years, we've had an awesome shad spawn, which is good.
That's us too. It makes for fishing kind of difficult sometimes.
It does, because you got to be very specific of where you fish. You can't just, because like I said, 20 years ago, man, you go out there and drop a line, you catch all the fish you want. But now you got to get a lot more strategic in what you do to catch the bigger. Now you go out there, you catch 2, 3, 4, 5 pounders all day long by the hundreds if you wanted to. Yeah. But to catch the bigger fish, you've got to be real strategic on what you do and where you fish. And of course, obviously the biggest key of all that is patience.
And it's not that easy. I mean, really, truly, if you look at, your 10 to 15, 20-pound range all day long, but when you get into those big fish, man, you've really got to study them, like you said, and learn their habits and everything to figure out where they're going to be at certain times.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what helped me to really up my game is when I started seeing what they were throwing up. I started seeing the size, for each size, as every time you go up 10 pounds in weight, you'll notice that bait starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. When I started catching 50s and 60s, then I'm starting to see giant stuff. I'm like, well, this guy, he's got nothing. Now, Micah said he caught his record off of a white bass head that was about like that. So, I mean, that's pretty big for most guys. For big fish anglers, that's a regular size bait. But I've noticed once they get up to about 30 pounds, they start throwing up baits that are about 8-10 inches.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I've had them throw up stuff that I'm like, damn, I don't even use that big a bait. But some of the big time guys that taught me said, man, you don't use the bigger bait necessarily to catch the big fish. They will eat a smaller bait. What you're using the big bait for is to keep the littler guys from catching them, and then your lines are out of the water if you're getting picked to pieces by little ones. So.
Yeah. And I've got myself, every time after a tournament or just regular fishing, when I open that live wire, that's the first thing I'm looking at. Okay, what's inside? You've got mussels and all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah.
Little blue crabs. I mean, all kinds of good stuff in there.
I've seen them throwing up some of the craziest stuff. I saw one of them threw up probably 200 or 300 ladybugs. I mean, I had about a 45-pounder threw up an adolescent cormorant. I've seen them hit shorebirds, beach themselves like National Geographic trying to get an egret. So they eat big stuff. And I've seen them crush ducks up shallow. So that's cool to see all that stuff. Facebook user says, crazy, I can catch fish good on skipjack one day, and the next week they only hit shad.
That's why I always have a pretty much a smorgasbord every time I go. I'm going to find out what bait's working best. So when we do find that out, I'm going to have a bunch of it. I'm going to have, a lot of perch. I'm going to have a lot of brim.
I believe fish are key in. Each group is key. They don't all fish the same pattern. If you're around a bunch of skipjack, those fish are going to be keyed in on skipjack. If they're around a bunch of giant gizzard shad, they're going to be looking for those gizzard shad. And the same goes with the white bass. I just think that the pattern is different, and kind of coordinating with what you're seeing on the water makes a difference. Same with the carp. I mean, sometimes they're feeding on them carp. They don't want a damn shad.
Well, I know everything I caught today. Which really sucks that I lost all the footage on my SD card, but because I'd taken pictures of it. But there was balls of shad all over the place in the depth of water they were in, and that's what they were feeding on today. But I was dragging skipjack, so I don't know. Maybe they were just eating. Of course, it was like you were saying. It was about that. Of course, I hardly don't ever get bit till at least 11 o'clock because that's about the time we get current down in my area. And
that helps a lot. Same with the wind here. For us lake guys, it's wind, Micah. So last Saturday, we didn't even get bit till about 1 p.m. and then wind started blowing. And
I had the wind today. It was blowing the right direction, but only thing it did to me was just really, really mess with me in that trolling motor. That's all it ever did. But we got current. It started hitting me about 11 o'clock, and then I guess when I caught my first fish, and then I left them biting. I had to catch some bait for tomorrow, so hopefully we can do it again tomorrow since I don't have no footage from today.
Michael, when your current stops, do you find yourself looking for the deeper pools or different bends and stuff? Or I mean, what are you looking for?
Okay, well, what I look for is because of the current schedule that we've had, these fish are they have just been steady on these underwater points and bent. Well, it'll be points, and they're either when the current stops, they're on top. Okay, when the current starts, they're either on the backside or on the outside point of it.
Mhm.
And but when the current stops, yeah, they're up top. But the problem is that you're only going to get the smaller ones that are sitting up there, because the bigger ones, again, like we talked about a few minutes ago, they don't have to do nothing, and they're not going to. I mean, they know that something will come through, and they'll slurp it up and be done, for the day. So
for guys that are wanting to understand why, that's ambush structure. And when there's current going, the fish is going to lay a little bit out of the current, and he's going to be waiting for whatever's going to come to him off of that piece of ambush structure, and then he can just get it with as little of effort as possible. And when the current stops, the bait starts moving back out around that ambush structure, and fish will move up on top of it to go basically have to do a little extra work to go get it. Now,
I always call it that light switch. You everybody says, man, it's like somebody threw the switch. They were biting, and all of a sudden they stopped.
Yeah. So what do you do when it slows down? Because I know what I do. So let's hear what you do when it slows down.
Well, when it gets like that, I go shallow. I mean, that's the thing, because like I said, when especially when we don't have any current, and it does create a slow bite. But I'll go shallow, because you'll still pick up a few good ones that are just up there, just kind of cruising. Do
you change your presentation? Downsize baits? Do you do any of that type of stuff? Shorten leaders?
No, I keep the same leader, keep the same bait. What I may do is I may go slower, and then depending on if it's slick calm, I may go faster. It's just you just let the fish kind of tell you what they want.
Parker said he had one cough up a half-grown muskrat. That's pretty cool. I like seeing that.
But yeah, it's I like I said, I go shallow. So
Patrick said he had a 60-pounder throw up a bird at the snake and a snake at a tournament.
Yeah. Dang.
I've seen him throw up some snakes, black diamond water snakes, the smaller adolescent ones. So I mean I see him swimming up shallow, and I'll see a big fish crush them. So I know they get eaten. I think blue cattle, they're creatures of opportunity. They'll eat.
Oh, they are.
Broad spectrum of things that they will eat.
That's a fact. They are.
Micah the King says Russell Rhodes, and I think most everybody will agree with that. We call Micah the King of Tennessee. So Russell said when it slows down, he starts catching cans in the cooler. And Clayton says, "What's up, y'all? What's up, Clayton? Welcome in, buddy." So, Micah, you were on the river today. How deep were you fishing?
I was fishing all the way from 20 foot all the way up to 50 foot. With my spread.
You started shallow in the morning, and what made you change? You weren't.
No, what I do is, especially because I drug a spot today that I haven't fished before, and so what I'll do is I'll keep myself on the ledge. I'll keep my boat basically right on the ledge as it dumps off into the main channel. So I'll typically have 2 rods up shallow. I have 1 down the center and 2 out deep. And both them, well, actually, most of my fish I caught today, they were hanging out on the ledge.
You're dragging bottom. You're suspending baits. You're doing both.
I suspend one rod, and then I drag the rest.
And you're using the Micah signature planer boards.
Yeah.
Are those for sale anywhere?
No, they're not, because they're too close to what's already out on the market, and I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I see a lot of that. So
I just don't want to.
Oh, my boards are the best. So I'm like, yeah, are they really? Because it looks an awful like one I know of.
Yeah, no, I don't do that, because it's I did take some ideas, and then I just made my own, because
I think that's the way to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. Team Keats, he's got a planer board out, and it's what I respect about it is it's different than everybody else's.
Yeah.
If you're going to do something, do it. try to improve, try to figure out your own way. Don't just be a blatant copy. Everybody knows the original's better than the copy. So let's talk about this. Tell us about this spot here and what you're looking at. What your thoughts are on this spot.
Oh wow, I can't believe I sent you that picture.
Is that the secret?
No, hang on. Okay, there's no mile markers on there, so we're good.
I believe everybody
we give up the secrets on this show. So,
hey Chris, I believe everybody went and grabbed their cell phones. They're doing snaps right now.
I know a lot of guys are like, "Man, I love your show because you just give up the secrets." And it's
so this one here was from the. That's actually this. I think it's from last week. So you can obviously see the little squiggly lines where I was dragging. But if everybody's watching,
so the black line that's on the bottom ledge, guys, is where he's dragging. You can see it squiggly because the current's moving him around a little bit. The straight lines are when he's on big motor.
So if you look on the top left corner, you can see where I was talking about the contour lines. So you see how they're real close together. It's kind of like a real dark black and blue. That's the ledge coming down, and then if you still again look at the top left corner, you'll see that little hump that kind of comes out into the main channel.
Yes, that's secondary feature.
That's what I call an underwater point, and you can see them down through that whole trail that I drug. Down at the far right corner, bottom right corner, that's a little hump that comes up in the river, and so in between that hump and the ledge, I call that a saddle. Us military guys will know what that means. But right there in that saddle, it starts off at like right now, of course, the depth is not correct, but right now it starts off at like 32 feet and then it'll come all the way up to 15 foot right there on that side. And I have hammered some big fish out of that spot. Of course, you can see my waypoints.
Brandon and Facebook user said, I know that spot.
Well, he does. I know he does.
You've probably taken him there. So,
well, I don't. Well, him and Brian.
Yeah.
But it's of course you can see on the other side of the river, which is you see a lot more waypoints. You got a couple from a couple different years. Now that's what I would call a flat, right? The flat that kind of comes off into the main channel. And sometimes, like I said, when it gets slow, that's something I'll target right there. I'll still put a couple in the main channel. You may get lucky. But I'll drag that shallow stuff there because I think because the bait's already going to be up there. And so your fish are going to want to move up and start to feed.
So, Micah, let me ask you, when you hit the water, let's say, I have no idea where this is in relation to where you put in, but when you put in and you're building your pattern for the day, are you just going to go to these spots and look for fish, or are you trying to build your pattern and then go to the spots where you think they're going to be from the pattern that you've decided this is where they're going to be today?
Well, for the most part, I have a lot of knowledge of that, of the river itself. Like I said, I got about a 40-mile stretch that I fish quite often. So I kind of know where I want to go. I'll go to a spot, I'll drag it. If I catch a couple fish, now that's a pattern, and then I can go to I can go to all these different places and recreate that pattern. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I do when I hit the river. But yes, I do have, preconceived notions before I get out there, just based on weather. And
you got a game plan. You're not just going like, oh, I'm going to go fish this hole. You've got an idea of what you think they're going to be doing. And then when you get there, you're trying to determine, is my idea right? And then you got to craft your game around that. So I think that's how a lot of us do it.
Yeah, because
Monkey says, do you ever anchor up on fish?
I do when we get more current. If we start getting current to where I can't drag, like if they're pushing 60, 70, 80,000 CFMs, well, you can drag that, but I think it'll take all the Carolina lake weights to hold it down. But I do it then.
So Derek says, am I the only one hearing beeping? And I can tell you, I don't hear any beeping. Do y'all?
I heard it earlier, but I don't know what it was.
I've got an AC running out here in this office.
Chris,
Maybe.
that was my machine there. We were pressing shirts.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
We'll allow it. So, Facebook user, which is not sure who you are, but Micah has taught me a ton, and I can tell you that I do catch more fish now.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
I think that's probably one of the most rewarding things for us guys who really like to help guys catch fish. It's big feather in your cap when your guys are like, "Thank you, I hammered them. Appreciate you, Micah."
Well, yeah, it's like I told you before we started the show. If I could just help one person, that made the whole day for me.
I agree. The reason I think it's cool is because catfishing for trophy catfish can be painful, and to have to learn it all on your own is years of just torment, which makes a lot of guys give up. And I think if you can help somebody have some success fairly consistently, that it hooks them where they're more willing to just go for it and continue to do it and just plow through. And if they had to just go fail all the time, a lot of guys back when I was started would just quit. I mean, they're like,
yeah,
screw this, man. This is too hard.
Are you able to scroll through them pictures I sent you, Chris?
Yes. Let me pull them back up.
I want to try to get to the one where I was fishing today. Not that one. That one. Okay. So you can see how the last one was a lot more, I would say, more or less straight line-ish, kind of.
Yeah.
Where this one is all ziggy-zaggy because we had, I don't know, about 15, 20 mile-an-hour winds come across the river out of the south today.
So when you're going into the wind.
Today I was going into the wind, finally.
Okay, you're going into the wind. I can tell because the back end of your boat's swaying around.
Yeah.
Do you throw out a drift sock when you're going into the wind? Or
I do.
Okay.
But, okay, so you can see on this picture here, which, again, another waypoint. Is any mile markers up there? No, we're good. Okay. But you can see how tight I was to the ledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got the flat that's up top here, which that's what I call a flat for the river anyway. And then you see how tight I was to the ledge where it dumps off into the main channel. So you figure where it shows the 20-something feet all the way up to 46 feet, it's a big difference. So, but all my fish come right on basically where the blue meets the tan or brown.
Yeah. So that's the bottom of the ledge. Guys that don't know, the bottom of the ledge is a key spot for where fish like to ambush prey. They lay on that bottom, and as you know, a lot of guys say it's a travel corridor, and they do move up and down that. But for more than anything, it's a piece of ambush structure where at the bottom of that thing, they can just ambush stuff that's coming down that ledge. It's just a good spot for them to hit stuff with less, they just don't have to put forth the effort as much when they're sitting at the bottom of that thing. So.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of they can move up if they want to. Like they're that close to where they can just slip up, get them something to eat, and go right back down and not be bothered. And that's where you'll find stuff like that. And I know I'm talking about rivers here because I know you had a show that you did about lakes, and it was an awesome one. But the patterns are different. Like you said, you're more wind oriented as far as your current, so to speak.
Yep, that's why we got Jamie. That's why we bring Mike on.
That's it. Love them rivers, man.
We try to give something for everybody to learn. I think it's cool. I learn a lot on my show too from all our guys. So everybody does it a little bit different, and I'm willing to learn. I mean, there's just a mountain of stuff, and the cool thing about blue catting is you'll never know it all. No matter how long you've done it or who you've fished with, there's always going to be more to learn. You move to a different lake, to a different river, it's going to be a little bit different. And so absorb, boys and girls.
Yeah. I was gonna that one. I think I sent you that had the holes in it. I think if you went back one, it'll be.
All right, let me pull these back up. So go back one.
Yeah, that one right there.
Okay. You got
Okay,
three
so
little deeper holes here. You got
yeah.
some flats. You got a sharp ledge, and you got an outside ledge that's not quite as sharp.
So what I was talking about earlier about the, okay, so if I'm looking at a map like on the computer screen, or if I'm looking at it on my graph, okay, so you see where I have my waypoints 186, 101, I think 185. Okay, so if you look at it, you think, oh, well, it's just a sweeping little, little bend or something like that in the contour lines. But when you scan that,
Yeah.
okay, that's really deep between the point to point. It's real deep right there.
Well, yeah, and also there's a little different. There's something different about those contours.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
there, you can see the color change and where the contour lines spread out. But then right there where those three marks are, the contour lines are just slammed in next to each other. So
Yeah. So it's not as sharp as a straight ledge, but it is a lot. It's more of a depression between the 2 points there, and which I've caught fish out of there too, and
to me it looks like the current probably pushes up against that a little different than the rest of that ledge.
Yeah. Because it just what that does there is when the current's going is it's almost, if you think about it, it's almost kind of like a little whirlpool right there.
Yeah.
And so that just, I mean, this is just me thinking, but it seems like it just kind of circulates the bait through there if they're hanging out there.
I love to hear that, Micah, because I think we're kind of thinking the same way. When you see that and you're like, well, that's a little bit different. And why is it, what's going on there that's different? And analyzing that, that's going to help you guys trying to figure out what those little different things are that are interesting.
Yeah, because like I said, it goes back to my point where like you can look at it. Everybody that's looking at that, some of the more knowledgeable guys would be like, okay, yeah, that does look like it'll be a little depression there, but until you get out there and scan it and go over it, you'll see the elevation and or how deep it is there. Because it almost is, it's not too much further from the main channel, and that's what I was looking at when I scanned across this area, and I was like, holy crap, that's a good little hole. And I ended up catching some good fish out of there.
Michael, what kind of structure do you have on this river? I mean, do you have, heavy structure? What you got going on?
It depends. It really depends. Like Brandon Ladd's area and stuff up there, they've got a lot of good structure. I mean, a lot of good structure. The only thing they don't have is depth. Now down by me, if you find a tree in about 40, 50 foot of water, that's a heck of a spot. But you don't find much of that around by me. But I know when you go, I say it'd be, well, as the river flows, it'll be south of me. So, but yeah, where Brandon and them fish, they got some really good, like logs, trees, brush piles. They got a lot of stuff sitting on points. That's why when I go up there and fish, I have a great time because there's fish almost everywhere up there.
We got a river here. It's called the Great Pee River, and it has a lot of structure. And around bends, you find, some of those trees that had come around and laid up there that's been there for a while. And as soon as you start dragging over the top of that, time it comes over and hits the bottom, I mean, like they're laying right there.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, that where I'm at, because the river is wide and it's deep, and and sometimes we'll get lucky. Like I had a flathead spot that was phenomenal. I bet there was probably 7 or 8 trees piled up, and then but we had a flood, which now it's all gone. So that's the only problem. So we get a flood, we got so much water moving through there, it just pushes it all out. So I've been trying to find me a new flathead spot.
and that's the thing I was talking to Chris about a while back. It seems like about every 2 to 3 years you get a massive flood.
Yeah.
Or you get some semi, floods that might change some of the structure just a little bit. But after a massive flood on our river, on that big PD River, it seems like it changes a lot. Then you got almost just relearn a lot of the river.
Yeah, and that's like I said, that's a lot of the things that I have to do every year here. Not probably to that extent because from my understanding, from what I remember, the PD is kind of a shallow, narrow river, ain't it?
Yes.
In a lot of spots.
Yeah.
So so if you get a lot of current, you're way more susceptible to your structure just moving or leaving or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, here, like I said, it's not as big as the Tennessee River by no means, but it's bigger, it's deeper, a little bit wider, and so I have gone away from trying to find the logs, the trees, and stuff like that because it changes so much. What I've kind of morphed into the last couple of years is just learning the pattern of the fish that time of the year, and once you can figure that out, and I don't even have it figured out, but I've got a pretty good idea. But once you can kind of get a good idea on that, it's you could pretty much, I ain't gonna say call your shots, but you can get out there and catch fish. Whether they're going to be
a lot easier with the more time on everybody says it, time on the water.
Yeah, it is.
There's so many different variables, Micah, that go into patterning fish.
Mm-hmm.
There's the weather pattern, there's the seasonal pattern, there's the temperature pattern. Piecing all of those together and where they all kind of collide is what pretty much separates the regular guy from the guy who goes out and does it every single trip. Now, even the really high level guys will struggle occasionally, but the guys that are really good tend to be able to go figure something out because they've been doing it so long that they've seen that scenario before and they know what didn't work that day. And they know what they've come across in the past. So they have, all right, well, I know this ain't going to work. Let me go check this and this and this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you that, and I've said this before, and that's fishing history. So fishing history is great. It's a good idea because, you go back, you try something you did last time, but also it causes a problem because if you think, like, if you waste your time in a place that you said, well, hell, I caught plenty of fish here, 2 weeks ago, but then you're 3 or 4 hours into your trip and you ain't caught nothing. Yeah. Then it's like, well, we should have probably tried something because by that time your day's over.
You're right there. Yeah. You can't. I tell guys constantly, quit trying to fish the hole, fish the pattern.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into patterning fish for that particular day. What's the weather been doing? What weather is approaching? What's the water temperature? How much rain came the week before? Those are all huge factors that can eliminate other patterns, or they can I don't know. It's like it's going to be a bigger chance on that pattern than one that you tried at the same time last year.
Yeah, because even something as simple as even today, I went to a spot because if everybody knows I'm testing out hooks and all this other stuff, so I want to catch fish. I want to catch big fish is my biggest thing. But I went to a stretch and that I know for sure that, it holds big fish occasionally. So now the only difference with this spot was the wind was just, it was straight line on it, right? It was hard to fish. It really was. It would blow the boat around, it blow the front of the boat around. I'd have to put the, trolling motor up to 8 or 9, just to get me moving again and stuff. Well, it wasn't until I changed and went to a spot that was a little bit more guarded from the wind that I started catching fish and seeing like even the wind plays an issue with that. It just depends on, I don't know why. The only thing I can think of was maybe it was pushing a bait up towards the bank where the fish don't want to come up to get. And where I went to a little bit more sheltered area, the bait was more scattered, which I noticed that immediately when I started scanning before I started fishing. I noticed that there was a lot more bait in that, 25, 35 foot range. So
that could be where you think they're going to be, where they should be. And then sometimes you just got to go where they shouldn't be.
Right. Yeah.
Some days where you think, because everybody, well, wind, is an extenuating factor.
Mm-hmm.
It pushes the phytoplankton. It creates current, and generally that works. If you follow those guidelines, you can, go to the right area of the lake. There's funnels. You can go get in those funnels and catch fish. But there's times where all that gets thrown out the window, and the
It
fish
did today.
Protected water where there's
it did today for sure.
not blowing, where there is no current,
and
they want to get out of that crap, and they just want some type of refuge.
That's how it was today, because I didn't see any bait. I seen fish, but I didn't see any bait in the stretch that had the wind just blowing, straight down it. And then once I got to that, it was a little bit guarded spot. Immediately, as soon as I got the boat slow enough to where my transducer could pick it up, it was just balls of bait everywhere in that 25, 35 foot range. I'm like, okay. So I started cutting up bait and casting rods.
And
how often do you find, Micah, how often do you find yourself having to switch up your ideas?
Every day, every time I go out. Seriously, it's every time you go out, because you could go out, and we talked about earlier catching small fish, just getting beat up by small fish. Man, if I have to rebait every hook once because of small fish, I'm picking up. I'm going somewhere else. You may have seen some good marks there, but there's just too many small fish there. You're not going to be able to. They're obviously going to be the more aggressive fish, so you're just wasting a bait.
Ultra aggressive. I tell guys, they're like freaking piranhas.
But then you just waste bait.
I counteract that by going with big baits with harder bodies. Something that's not going to get shredded on a pretty decent drift, I don't drift too often. I drag, but something that's not. They can bang it around, because me and Jamie talk about it all the time. I think sometimes activity creates activity. So if you got a little one over there banging it around. It's like two dogs when there's food around. They're like, I'm getting that damn thing before that little guy does. And sometimes that activity can, I don't know if it's the sound or the vibration.
I don't know. When I was earlier in the year, when I was using white bass for bait, which, I'll drag a piece all day. If it doesn't come off the hook
on the line all day.
Yeah.
Not that we can use it here in Texas, but we can use it up at Texoma. So.
Yeah, but but when that temperature starts coming down, like we were in 80s, high 80s, I don't think we made it to the 90s this year. But now we're down into the water temp today when I hit the water was 67 degrees. So when we starting
to get there.
Well, once we start dropping in temp and water temp, it's like Jamie, you were saying earlier, like a switch.
Yeah,
you can catch fish on white bass right now, and and I actually still drag a piece. I've caught one fish so far in 5 trips, but you still can use it. But they want that shad and they want that skipjack.
Yeah.
And you know how that works when you start getting 2 or 3 little ones, bang it. Well, it's either gone or you're coming back with skin and bones. So it is what it is. You just got to, like I said, just find that one that wants to eat, But you can catch a lot of little ones now. They're up moving. They're doing the same thing. They're trying to feed up for the winter, do their thing. Because again, we've got so much bait. So the little ones are everywhere.
Yeah, especially this time of year right now. You got fish kind of doing all kinds of little bit of different stuff than what they might have done a month or two ago, because they're transitioning over. And right now, you just got to. If you don't have it completely a game plan, and say, okay, we're gonna go shallow today, you might be going medium range in that 20 to 30, then you might have to go deep or something. But right now it seems like they're within that medium to shallow range for me right now.
I hear a lot of guys say, oh, well, this is where they were last year, and I tell guys, man, you need to throw that out the window. These fish aren't on a yearly cycle. The weather pattern's not on a yearly cycle. Now, what we've seen in the last 2 years is a huge shad spawn, a very small shad kill, if maybe none at all. But we had our bait fish and our game fish spawning late fall last year, where we we had game fish in the water in the winter that were this big. So they
Mhm.
spawned when they shouldn't have spawned. And then we didn't have a shad kill, so all the shad lived. And then they spawned 2, 3, 4 times rather than once. And so the lake's full. And what you might have thought you saw 3 or 4 years ago when you started fishing is not what you're going to see this year.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what the weather seems to be extreme. So I tell guys that's where all that time on the water, comes into play, because you start seeing all these different scenarios that happen over a longer stretch of time. Where like the last 2 years, there's been no shad kill. We had a very warm winter followed by a few extreme weather patterns in the winter that got really cold. But for the most part, it's a warm winter, which is different than every other winter the 10 years before that. So you can't go with what happened last year, guys. You can't go with what happened the year before. You have to go with what's happening the week before you go, the day you're there, and then what is approaching. Those 3 things are probably the biggest factors in what you're going to be doing on the water that day.
That's a fact.
Micah, how's that working out for you right now? How's it,
Okay, so exactly how he said it. I mean, you just got to get out there and try what you did last week, or try what you did, yesterday, or whatever, because it'll change day to day. It will. So, because I'll tell you, like tomorrow, we're supposed to have, I think it's supposed to be a little lighter winds tomorrow, but it's gonna be hotter tomorrow. So we're looking at getting into damn near the 90s tomorrow. So what does that mean? Well, I don't know until I go, honestly. But
I can tell you what it means in the lake. It means things spread out. If it's been cooler this time of year, generally means things are going to spread out. You're going to have to travel further distances. It's not going to be concentrations of fish or bait. And you just got to grind to get what you need to get.
So the only thing I was thinking of when I was thinking about that was that I was worried about, the skipjack, you know what I mean? So are they going to be pulled up, or is that going to actually push them a little bit deeper? Is it going to push the bait out a little bit further, because that water's going to warm up a lot faster? So they're going to be up there for a short period of time, and they're going to back off.
So this time of year, you're trying to fish that skipjack pattern, and where the skipjack want to be.
Yeah.
And then you go target fish that are targeting skipjack.
Yeah, because I tried. As soon as I start catching skipjack on the main river, as soon as I can pull up in a creek mouth and catch me, 4 or 5, then that's what I'm on. That's exactly what I'm on. Yeah. And then,
when you're catching skipjack, do you target areas that you catch your skipjack, or do you catch your bait and then go move to the area where you think are the ambush structure where the bigger fish are going to be?
Well, see, so today, this morning, when I went out, I caught skipjack. And so there was a really nice stretch that I was trying to drag first thing this morning, early this morning. And that's when I said I drug probably 250 yards and never got a bite, never got a single bite. And that was on that same stretch where I caught all the skipjack at, right around that area. So it wasn't until I moved away from that bait and got to a completely different stretch is when I started catching fish. But there was bait, among the fish on the bottom. Yeah. So I think that makes the difference. Like I was saying, I think if that wind on days, I'm not going to say it happens every day, but on days when that wind is like that, I think it pushes the bait. And like you were saying, the plankton and all that stuff, it pushes it so far to the bank that, all the fish that were hanging out on the ledges or all the bait that was hanging on the ledges and a little bit further down, now they're pushed up. Well, them cats, they're like, well, I'm not going to go up there. I'll just wait, whatever.
Yeah.
And then so you got to go to a place where that's not happening.
The bigger ones, they're a lot more efficient feeders than the smaller ones.
Yeah.
But I call them lazy. But I don't know if it's lazy. They're just smarter feeders.
Smarter. I go with smarter. They are.
Yeah. They orient themselves to the high value piece of real estate.
Yeah.
And they don't allow very much around them. They're like, get away from me. I don't want you too close to me. This is my spot. They'll bite the other ones, and they'll just sit right there and just lay there and just when something comes by it, they just open up, suck water in, and take that fish down.
Yeah. So the way I think of it, and this is just me thinking, one guy's opinion. This time of year, like it's different than the pre-spawn, post-spawn, stuff like that. But this time of year, because they are wanting to feed up for the winter. Okay, but in doing that, they don't want to burn what they've ate, Yeah. But now the only difference is as that water temperature gets a little bit colder, I think their bubble of opportunity gets just slightly bigger each time.
That's what I say.
Yeah. So
we've had guys come on, Micah, that say, "Oh, their metabolism slows down and they just don't want to eat like." And I'm like, that's not what I found.
Yeah.
They want to eat bigger and they want to eat more.
And that's as it gets colder. Weight. Yeah, as it gets colder, because you, as you know, and again, one guy's opinion, that as it gets colder, that bait that was plentiful, down on the bottom and stuff like that, has now pulled back into, let's say, the shallow creeks. They're up on the the riprap. They're up on the structure on the bank because that warms up the quickest. And so that's
but isn't this also the case? Game fish, which I've caught enough giant blue cats to know that they're eating probably more game fish than bait fish. And when they spit that stuff out on deck in the winter, a game fish, when you they just barely even can move. When you catch one and like back 25 years ago when I caught other game fish, you catch one in the winter and it's just like barely even alive. It's like flopping. Yeah. And a blue cat, yes, blue cat's metabolism slows down, but they are not nearly as affected. A big fish is not nearly as affected as a game fish, which is almost can't even hardly move. So
if you think of it,
my mentality is aren't they? That's an easy big meal. That's what they want to go get, because I see game fish piled up, laying in a pile, and I see big fish kind of just orienting around them.
Yeah, well, so we could take this another step further. Is that most of your bigger fish that you'll ever come across or find or possibly even catch is going to tend to stay a little bit deeper than the rest. Now, I'm not going to say it's 100% all the time, because I know guys that catch big fish in 3 foot of water in the wintertime. But that's just that, they have figured that part of it out, that's where all the bait goes.
They seem to go their own way a little bit than the rest.
You're never going to have, I don't think you're ever going to have two fish think alike as far as that's concerned. Because I've caught fish real shallow. I mean, it'd be, 20 degrees outside. I've caught fish shallow, but I can also go out, but I also go out to a 60-foot hole and catch just as many.
Yeah, I'll go out to the deep hole and hammer them. I'm going to go to the deep. All you got to do is look at the sonar. When it's really cold, they're piled into that deep hole. Yeah. That's where I'm going to go. Yeah. I mean,
but see, again,
go up shallow, and there are those giants that go against all reasoning, because the biggest fish I've seen are generally by themselves. They're not even around the big giant piles of bait or anything. Mm-hmm. They're just off kind of doing their own thing. And I think that, I don't know why they do that, but if you do fish around that biomass, you will have consistent success with big fish. Now, you can go outside of that and find smaller patterns, but
now, Michael, last week we were talking about anchoring first thing in the morning, then start your drag. Mm-hmm. Do you do any anchoring whatsoever before you actually go and start your drag or anything?
Well, since I've gotten into dragging baits, I used to anchor. That's all I ever did was anchor fish. But since I got into dragging baits, yes, I have gone out and I've anchored. But if I spend 30 minutes and I ain't got a bite, planer board's coming out. That's just all there is to it.
I think, Micah, you're like most of us guys that have been doing it a while. We all started out anchoring because that's the only way there was to do it back then. Drifting, there was guys doing it in South Carolina around where Jamie's at, but that was not a popular thing till it started getting in the In Fisherman magazines in the late 90s. Mm-hmm. Casey Nelms was doing it in the 80s, but that was not a popular way to fish until guys started seeing his success, and then it kind of caught on around the country. But anchoring is where most of us started anchoring.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you, I'm like you. I like to drag.
But now what I do is to your point, and then Jamie answer a little bit more of your question. What I'll do is if I'm dragging, right, and let's say I come across the wad of fish, and of course me and Chris talked about this earlier. It takes, depending on how fast you're going, about 2 to 3, sometimes 5 minutes, depending on how fast you're going, for your baits to get in that area. Now, if I come across the wad of fish, like I see, some streaking up, some streaking across, something laying on the bottom, I will get either at them or just above them, and I will spot lock boat for 15, 20 minutes.
I do the same thing, man.
I've caught a lot of fish, and see, like when we start having a little bit more current, when I get a bite, right, I'll automatically spot lock that boat. I'll fight that fish, and while I'm fighting the fish, or just after, I'll have 1 or 2 more rods take off. So, yeah, I guess in a way I do a lot of it, but I think it's a lot more efficient if you do it that way. Instead of throwing an anchor out and cast your lines out, then if you want to move, reel everything in.
My idea, because I think you think a lot like me, Mikey, you're trying to figure out what's going on here, and why is it doing that? What's the benefit of doing that? And I think the benefit of dragging is you're presenting your bait as an injured fish and and you're trying to hit ambush structure. I mean, that's the beauty of dragging.
Yeah.
Not like drifting where I'm going to set up and try to hit this 2 times. When you're dragging, you're hitting that thing constantly.
Yeah.
And you're trying to present your bait as an injured bait fish to a fish that's sitting on ambush structure. And that's what he's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
A big catfish wants something that's easier. And so that's why I think dragging is the way to go. Now, I anchored for 20 some odd years, and when I would catch 5 good fish, I was like, oh, hell yeah, what a great trip. But when I'm dragging, I catch 5 giant fish at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens frequently. It's not like it's just an occasional thing. When you get good at it, you're going to start having chaos on the boat.
Yeah.
Like no other, it takes a while to get used to the chaos, especially with a 7-year-old, but
right.
It's just a different type. I don't think that you can do what you can do dragging, anchoring. Not consistently.
No. Like I said, if it's if they're running a bunch of current, you really ain't got a choice. But that's when I will still target the same spots, the same areas. It just takes a little bit longer to fish it.
When we used to anchor, it was before side image and all that. So maybe if I really dove back into anchoring, I could probably have a little better success. But back then, we would put the clock on all our spots, and we may fish 6-8 spots for the trip, and we wouldn't go more than about 30, maybe 45 minutes, but that's a long time to not catch fish. So we'd go 30 minutes. We'd hit the clock. If we ain't got a fish, we'd pull up ropes and we'd move. Mm-hmm. And we wouldn't sit for too long. And you hit all those different spots and you accumulate those fish. But dragging, when you're in the right spot and you're dragging, it goes from catching those 3 or 4 good ones to now on a great day, you may catch 20 good ones.
That's but that thing is that helps you also develop that pattern, and you'll see what kind of stuff you just went over. And then you can recreate that pretty much anywhere as long as it looks the same.
You start kind of seeing what the sweet spots are on that specific piece of structure, and then you can coordinate the path of the way you're going to drag to hit those things with precision, rather than just like when we had the dragging episode. Jamie's like, well, I can see what you're doing. I got an idea. You're about to hit that one and that one, and then you're going to go up there and hit that. And I'm like, Yeah, that's that's exactly it, man.
Yeah.
And over time, you start seeing where those bigger fish are coming, and you're like, okay, the bigger fish. It's a real estate thing. They like that prime real estate. Like that little bump you showed us on that ledge. I immediately, I'm like, oh.
But see, that's what I'm saying. But if a lot of people look at that, they're thinking, oh, it's just like a little bitty little cut thing. But once you get over top of it, it was a big difference. And like I said, I pulled some good fish out of that.
And you've got to look for those different, what I call characters in the bottom, man. You got to look for those different holes, the humps, or you got to look for all that stuff.
Absolutely, because like I said, you'll catch a lot of smaller fish fishing just willy nilly. But more so like when I wanted to come back on this show was like we're getting into that time where you've almost got to be pinpoint on where you're at.
You got to be precise. I think, Micah, when you're precise, what level do you go up in production? I mean, from before you were just kind of doing it blindly and hitting that spot. Now that you're precise, how much of a difference does it make in your success?
It makes a huge difference. I mean, I think we all know that you definitely increase your odds. You put yourself in high percentage areas, and then you either sit and wait or you come back. I guess that's kind of the biggest thing, because if you could know a fish is there, you could see the fish is there, but if he doesn't bite this time, okay, we'll come back an hour later.
That's guys, I've had some high level guys on there like, man, you just don't leave fish. You're a tournament angler. I'm like, I got confidence to leave fish because I know that I can come back to that fish later. And by the time I come back, I may have given him enough time to be turned back on. And it's been too many times where I've left fish that weren't wanting to bite, gone and looked, and then come back, and those fish are now feeding hard.
Yeah, it's like I was telling you earlier. So I've had some guys that's gone fishing with me, and we've caught some little fish, probably 8-10 pounders, and then we'll see like, oh crap, there's a couple of good ones right there. Then we'll fish them. Well, they didn't bite. Well, let's just keep going, and then we'll come back 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour later. And then we'll come back and, and they're hanging into their PBs, so it's just, you, like you were saying, I'll leave fish. I mean, if they don't bite the first time, well, let's just wait. We'll come back. We'll wait till they're hungry.
You're probably confident enough to go find a different group.
A lot of guys, absolutely.
They lucky. I think some guys that aren't really good at graphing and don't really know what they're looking at, they're worried to leave that group of fish because they don't have the confidence that they can go find another group.
Yeah.
I know that you've been doing this for as long as any of us. And so you probably go find 5 different groups of fish. And out of those 5, you may say, okay, that first group I found, that was the one. And let's just go back, try that one again.
And I've done that. And been pretty successful. Now, I ain't going to say it happened every time, and we all know that, but
but that's the rabbit you pull out of your hat.
It is.
Like, I'm going to throw up this Hail Mary, and out of the 5 spots I picked, I know I marked 7 good ones on that second run. I'm going to run back to that one, and if they're turned on, I'm a hero, and I go home feeling great. Otherwise we just get defeated. But over time, those little things really help you.
Because like you were saying, is it's kind of putting all the little pieces together. So it may not have worked out that day, but it may work the next day, or it may work out the next week. To where, but you still have that in your head, and the confidence in your head to go out there and do that. And then you could, say like, these fish ain't ready yet. They won't start biting until, 2. We'll come back at 2. And then, but that because that's a pattern you have seen before, or probably had the week before, or, whatever.
It's that experience that you've had previously that gives you that hunch of, maybe I'm going to pull, maybe this is my way to save the day. And Rich wanted to know, what's the difference between dragging and drifting?
Well, drifting is when you just kind of float with the current, the wind, whatever. I guess in that aspect, you'll be I guess depending on if it's a lake, the current, or I mean, the wind would either push you towards the fish or, from behind the fish in front of the fish. Depends. Man, dragging is essentially that. You just toss everything out on the bottom, maybe throw some planer boards out, and you're pulling the bait to the fish instead of floating the fish or floating the bait to the fish.
I agree. And Rich, the main difference is when you drift, you're looking for fish in an area. Let's say they're, they're on a flat. They're around the flat next to the channel. You find them in that area, and you try to coordinate your drift pattern or your drift. Your drift line. You would try to hit as many things as you think on that drift is going to give you your best odds at hitting a big fish. When you drag, you're saying, okay, these fish are oriented to this ledge, and the wind might be blowing this way and the ledge is going that way. When you drag, you can hit that ledge the whole way and stay in the sweet spot. Whereas when you're drifting, you may only get 1 or 2 shots in that whole hour and a half drift of really getting a good one. So your chances of going big dramatically increase with dragging.
You have a lot more control over bait presentation if you're dragging, for sure.
It's presenting the bait on ambush structure. And we say it a million freaking times on this show. Oh man, Wicked Catfishing says still learning the game and what is working, and that's all of us. We're all still learning. None of us going to ever know it all. That's the beauty of this.
It's every day for me,
and we can all learn. And I've got a ton of guide friends that fish 5, 6, 7 days a week, and I can go on each one of them's boat. They all fish different. I may not fish the same way as them, but I can go to every one of them's boat and I can pick. I'm going to take that and I'm going to take that. I'm going to add it to my game. Okay, I got this guy's the way he does that. I'm going to use that and go with what you like, with what you're comfortable with. We don't all have to fish the same. The way that Micah fishes ain't the same way that Jamie fishes. And I can tell you both those guys hammer fish constantly. As good as anybody. Just find what you like.
And that's what makes it so much, man, so good is you're learning so many different techniques from so many different people, and you're just like, man, I want to try some of that, or he might want to try what you're telling him, and it can only up in your game regardless.
Okay, well, I gotta throw in a shameless plug if I can.
Yeah, plug it up, man. That's what the show's for. When we started the show, Micah, we want our guys to be able to plug their stuff. We want to promote our friends and what they're doing. So plug it up, buddy.
So I was going to say that on my YouTube channel, I have a video that's called Area Breakdown. And what that does is it actually goes into, well, matter of fact, what I fished that day. And if you watch the very next video after that one, by date, the very next one, you'll see the fish I caught. But
hey, let me interrupt you. Jamie, is Rebecca in the house tonight?
She is in the house, yes.
Oh, she's not out here.
Yeah.
We don't have a moderator, so I don't know that I even have I don't really have mods on this show because we just answer most of the questions. But if somebody could drop Micah's YouTube channel, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, but but like I said, it's a video called Area Breakdown, and for that day, I go over in pretty great detail of what I'm looking for, the where and why of what I'm doing. So that'll help answer some of the questions we probably are not going to cover in this episode, but it'll definitely help and basically understand. That way you can see the where I'm at on the graph to what it looks like on the sonar and side scan, stuff like that, and the reason why I'm fishing it. Then, like I said, if you watch the very next video, you'll see all the fish I caught.
I tell you, man, I enjoy watching your videos. I mean, I learn a lot just by watching and having a good time. And, tell us one more time for everybody in chat, your YouTube name and all that.
Well, honestly, it would be easier to just, because I can't remember it. It's like Micah Burkhart 14 something, something, something. But if you just search up on YouTube my name, Micah Burkhart, you will definitely come across me. And then, but like I said, just search. Well, if you get on my channel, you'll see that video that I'm talking about. And I think, y'all posted it. So
yeah,
yeah,
we got it.
Yeah, it's
Rebecca's on top of it. She's got my phone.
I appreciate that.
But I tell you, so how what kind of wind did you have? You said you had a lot of wind today?
Man, it was probably 15, 20 mile an hour. It was, and then once, like I said, the first stretch that I was fishing, it was dead down it. I mean, I was right through the tunnel. There's trees on both sides, and it was screaming down that river. So that made it a little tough to fish. But once I got off into, like I said, a protected area, it actually turned out pretty good. It just sucks that I lost again, all the stuff on my SD card. God, that sucks.
Oh man,
That's happened to all us guys.
I know, but it's heartbreaking when you have a good day. I don't care if it loses on a bad day. First time it's done on a good day.
Man, I have done that several times.
Yeah.
There's Micah's channel, guys. Y'all go over there and make sure you give Micah a follow. I know
you don't have to do that. You don't have to if you don't want to. Just watch that video.
Wow, these guys, most of these people in here are willing to support each other. I think that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Y'all go over there to Micah's channel. He does a lot of trip videos. He does some how-to stuff with how he makes rigs and planer boards and stuff like that. So go give him a follow. I know you blew up after that last record, which
because that was I didn't know this, but somebody had told me that was the biggest blue cat, state record, whatever, caught on YouTube and
really
that quality of video.
That's pretty cool.
I was like, now who sits down and figures that out? But it was kind of cool. It was cool to capture it all on video like that, but I just like, well, who sits down and figures that out? Because, out of the millions and millions and millions of people that are on YouTube, you're going to tell me that's the biggest blue cat caught on video on YouTube?
Well, it was a monster.
Yeah.
It was a monster, no doubt. I wouldn't be surprised if you caught that thing again.
Well, I don't know where it's at. I'll tell you that.
Well, you moved it, right?
I did. I've actually started fishing.
Catch it, and that's pretty cool too that you did.
Yeah, like I said, I hope so. Like I said, I want everybody to have that success. I really do. And if I can help them get there, then awesome.
There's one of your Tennessee River compadres, Paula Smith. Welcome, Paula. Everybody loves Paula. We love Paula. We got Richard Gadget Green. He's one of our guys, one of our supporters. So welcome in, Richard.
Still learning planer boards.
And I will tell you, planer boarding is easy to do and difficult to master.
Exactly. I'm still learning.
Hey, I've been doing them for 8 years every week, and I'm still learning too. And I can still learn a lot.
Yeah, I think I've only been using them. I think I'm in the year 3 now.
Year 3, you start getting real comfortable, and you're like, damn, these things are really game changers. Yeah. Well, I think they become game changers after about 2 or 3 trips. But
it was
at year 3, you're able to use them in a variety of ways that you didn't use them. You start to kind of understand how to benefit from them. I think.
Yeah, I know the very first trip that I went out, it was a friend of mine's. He made some planer boards and gave them to me. I'm like, whatever, I'll give them a shot. He kind of showed me how to use them, how to hook them up. Well, I went out that day. I had just a left and a right board, and I had one down the center. I don't even remember what kind of dragon weights I had. Definitely something that I was getting hung up on, I'm sure. But I know, but that day I caught, I think I had a couple in the 50s. I had, I think 3 or 4 in the 40s, had several 30s. And I'm going like, well, this is awesome. And I ain't turned back since.
Yeah, I pretty much the first day I used them in North Carolina with Zach about 8 years ago. And I knew, I was like, okay, well, I asked him, because he was suspending them. And I said, can I it seemed like I could drag. I drag. Can I
Mhm.
drag these? I drag a lot of mud flats and mid depth structure. He's dragging like stuff that's right next to super deep water. So he's trying to just a little different fishing. But he's like, I don't see why not. So I did it, and it worked. And guys gave me the biggest load of crap for years using those things. They told me, I can't believe you troll for catfish. I'm like, yeah, it works.
Yeah.
It works damn good. And sure enough, he caught, I think, the state record that next year. He caught 2 of them in the same day. Well, planer boards exploded after that. All those guys that were laughing at me now are using planer boards. I'm just like, okay, since he caught 2 records, I guess now they're okay to use. So.
Right. Yeah, I know, because even when I first started using them, they were relatively new around me. I mean, they were.
Yeah,
back
then there was basically 2 kinds. There were water bugs, and then you had Zacks. Well, I brought a pair of Zacks back from. No, there was some, I guess, for walleye, but the ones I brought back, you guys are like, "What are those things?" I thought those were jugs or something that you were jugging. Like, no, we're actually trolling for catfish. It helps get your stuff out there and hit ambush structure. So for anybody that doesn't planer board, man, you need to get some and start doing it because it's fun.
Well, I've been spreading the word, and we're gonna eventually spread the word a little bit more with spreading planer boards with Wesley. Man, we got something we conjured up together. So that's gonna come out soon.
Well, I can tell you that I am with Kevin Parks with Parks Planer Boards, the originator of the EVA foam planer board, and they've been a game changer for me. I started out with Zach's, but I moved to Kevin's boards when he came out with those EVA foam boards, and I love them, man. I love my Parks planer boards. And anybody that wants some, you go contact Kevin Parks. Right there's his telephone number, and you tell him that I sent you, and he will hook you up big time with some serious deals. There's a lot of good boards on the market at this point. I like Kevin because he's been supporting me and my son. So
yeah, they look like some good looking planer boards.
Kevin's a good guy, and I rank him as the top 5 angler in the country. So
I saw where Jeff says you'll never be, you'll definitely will not be bored when you're planing boarding. And he is.
It's chaos. Oh man,
well, it's always
more chaotic than planer boarding.
Yeah, it's always something to do. I don't know about where you fish at, Chris or Jamie, but I know for me it's either the board is moving because I got a fish or I'm hung up.
Yeah. You definitely don't sit down long, I promise. Especially like I mean, we run between, I believe last weekend we were running 7 planer boards, 7 or 8 planer boards at one time, and constantly up and down.
Yeah. When it's working, boys, it's like the symphony. When it's not working, it is the biggest chaotic cluster bomb you've ever freaking been part of.
Yeah, that's fact. And see, like, for me is I drag some pretty nasty stuff, and I do it on purpose, but that's kind of why, I had to, I'm sorry, Jamie, but I had to get into making my own weights and stuff like that because I lose them on the regular all the time.
Yeah.
And so what I do is, because I would drag log tree structure, I would drag, when the riprap bank comes down, I will drag that because sometimes them cats will be hanging right on top of them rocks.
We do the same thing, man. We do the same thing.
And like I said, because I've used a lot of different dragging weights, man. And I when you drag stuff like that, you're asking a lot. You're asking because it's not even so much the weight that gets hung up. Because sometimes it's as it rolls over and it falls. Well, now your hook is back here coming down behind it, and it gets hung up on a limb or something. Yep. So
we definitely talk about that a lot as well. There's ways to compensate, overcome that, and I tell you, Jamie's got a great product. We drag all that same stuff too. We do it live with a bunch of people watching.
Well, I still got some of the weights that you sent me, however long ago.
It's rare we ever lose one, and I got a lot of guys in here that fish with me, and they're like, "Man, Chris goes up in the nastiest crap you've ever seen," and we come back with every rig. So,
well, I can't say that, but.
I can't. Jamie's been on the live. He's like, I can't believe he's on their phone texting me. I can't believe you're freaking going up into this.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep.
But you got to go over the fish yard.
So be live and do it.
Yeah, you got to go over the fish yard.
When I used to do it, I wouldn't go up in this thick of stuff when I was using other brands, but the more you build confidence and stuff, the more you just kind of want to push the limit.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a lot of guys that will go drag like log jams and stuff. I'm like, that's pushing it, bud. But they're like, no, we just drag them through the log jams and they all come back. Now you're going to lose some stuff on the hook. But there's ways to compensate for even getting the hook hung up. And we talk about that a lot. We talk about that again if y'all want. But there's ways to go drag nasty stuff. What guys were doing 3 or 4 years ago saying you can't do it, there's guys like me and Micah who are doing it now.
I do it. I mean, I'll sacrifice a rig or two if I know that there's a fish in there.
Yeah.
Because because I'll see it when I come across it. I'll see it on my graph. I'm like, well, we're either gonna make it or we won't. But once I get past it, again, that's another spot. If I know, because you can see I can see my boards moving. I can see, my straight line bag. I can see it come up. It's like, okay, we're coming over that tree. And then once I know everything's above it, then I just spot lock it. And I'll sit there, for 10, 15 minutes, and I'll keep going. Or I'm back there trying to break line. I don't know. But either way, actually, it has paid off more than it has hurt me. That's a fact. So, like some of them guys, they will suspend over top of it and stuff like that. Kind of sort of the same thing, but
yeah,
it's
the distance that you put your planer boards from the bottom, makes a big difference. The distance that your hook is from your rattle or your float or whatever you're using. I know you use just a lot of just standard Santee rig. I use Demon Dragons and I use all of Jamie's rattles. I use a variety of rattles. And when you get your hook close up to that float, when you're in a lot of structure, you'll lose a lot less stuff coming over things.
That's something I have done is I have moved my float closer to the hook. I'm still because I used to run it like 6-8 inches away from it.
Yeah, but then you're losing. So you're going over logs.
So now I'm about 2 to 3 inches from my hook. So I know I could probably, I don't need to go no tighter because I've been doing pretty good just like that as far as what I drag. So,
Jeff says, do you find guys blues holding to vertical wood structure? And yes, blues love vertical wood structure. They love laydowns. We were on a live stream one time, and I'm like, there is a 40-foot log, and my whole left spread is about to go over this damn log. And Jamie's like, he's like, oh. And we went over it. Every rod on the right side of the boat just buries. And as it comes over the top, one by one, it's coming over that thing. And then one of them just got, as I'm going past the log, I'm like, there's a giant fish laying behind this log. Watch this, guys. If we can make it over this log, we're about to freaking see something cool. And we caught the fish, which I think is super awesome to be able to see what you see on the graph, see this log that normally I would have I'd have lost half that whole line of that spread would have been gone.
Yeah.
We went over it one by one, they buried and they came on over. And then when that I don't know, it's probably the third one. When it come on over, it was like bam, and it got freaking hammered. We were in about 4 feet of water, and we caught the fish, and it was spectacular. It's like a 40-pounder, you know, and it was all played out right there. Hey, there's this. Look at this. It was on a live stream. I turned the camera around. I'm going to look at this log I'm going over. It's this giant log in 4 feet of water. We went over it. So I think those things are cool. And I don't believe I could have done it with most of the other weights I've used. So, Jamie, appreciate you for catching that fish for me, buddy.
Well, we sure try. That's for sure. We hope everybody catches a lot of fish with them. I know we definitely get ready to break out some new stuff shortly. That's for sure. So we got.
Brandon says, "Come drag my air, and I bet you lose every rig." Okay, so Brandon, I got all my guys were like, "Why don't you take that stuff up into the forest?" And I said, "All right, Jamie." So I got all these guys telling me they want me to take these into the forest, and the forest is basically a forest that's been flooded, and it's out in about 38 foot of water. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to take it into the forest because I got all these guys telling me I can't do it. No one can go drift the forest. And I'm like, so Jamie, if I'm going to go drag this forest, how can we do this, man, and have success? And so we came up with a game plan, and I'm like, I'm gonna put my planer boards basically vertical from the depth of the water to my planer board. And then I'm going to put my hook right next to my rattle. I'm going to have that thing just hugged up next to it. Yeah. So that's what I did. And I said, and I'm going to go, and instead of using, I'm just going to go with the lightest weights y'all have. And so he had some like keychain rigs. So I used the keychain rigs. It's like a 1 ounce weight. And I used 2 ounce, but I'm like, I'm just going to put these keychains that you sent me on there. So we put the keychains on there, and we went vertical, and I went through the forest, and we hammered fish, and I got everything back. And guys are like looking at my graph, and they're like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And I've never drugged this before either, but I did it. And so there you go.
Sometimes you just got to adapt to certain situations and know how to, set your rig up and everything. And that's we lost two rigs, but yep. I would have lost every rig in the first 5 minutes the way I used to drag it. But I know over time I've learned, because when I started going shallow, guys were like, you can't drag stump field shallow. That's just not doable. I'm like, well, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to figure out how I can do it, because there's a ton of fish up there, and I don't want to anchor the stuff.
Right.
So we did it, and we do it, and you can do it. And I've got buddies that are on here like Jeff Martin, who's drugged the stump fields with me, and we didn't lose a single rig. So you can do it.
I look at it this way. If everybody's scared to do it, you're going to find me in there, because I'm going to. There's going to be fish
I used to go do it when I would lose all my stuff, Jamie, because the chance of getting that one good one, it's like, okay, I'm going to lose 8 rigs, but I'm going to get that one good one. But now I go drag it. I don't lose any. I mean, occasionally you're going to lose rigs when you're in snaggy places.
Yeah, nothing's ever 100%.
But if you know how to rig it right, and you do there are ways to compensate for fishing snaggy areas. And just because you're not doing this, you can't do it. Trust me, guys. Come watch my live streams. We go up where there's trees hanging out of the water, and we go right up into it, and we drag it. So, and Jamie sweats his ass off, and it's fun.
For sure. What you doing out in 20 to 30 foot of water, you're not going to take that and go up in that stump field and it worked 100% by no means. So you're definitely
going nothing that's snag free, because it's your hook.
That's it.
It gets snagged most of the time and stuff like that. So you'll get your dragging weight kind of hung up a little bit, and you're like, okay, it's hung, but then it comes over. But when it slingshots, it's that hook.
Yeah.
It's getting hung on stuff.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's what happens to me quite a bit when I'm dragging that type of structure.
I think that by going vertical and then shortening that hook to the float, you're eliminating a lot of that slingshotting.
Mhm.
So try it, guys. It's a little tip that I can give you that has worked for me to go shallow or even deep. I mean, even in the forest. My buddies are like, you can drag those in the forest. I'm like, well, I mean, I did it. I don't do it all the time, but it's possible.
Well, Chris, I know before we go tonight, I'm just going to give a new sample coming to Carolina Lake Weights.
Uh-oh. You just did a sneak peek last week.
But yeah, we got some new things. We're gonna have a lot of colors coming out. I've got pictures of these actually catching fish in tournaments within the last 3 to 4 weeks. So lots of pictures that will be coming out showing these bad boys work with no problem. And I like to say that today we launched Carolina custom apparel and embroidery today. So we started another new business today, like we needed more work. But we have launched that as of today. So
what are y'all going to be making, Jamie?
We actually are going to be, of course, we're embroidering hats and all kinds of good stuff like that. If you have a logo and you want it on a shirt, we have no minimum order. If you want one shirt with one logo, send it to me and we'll get it taken care of. So,
well, I've got a few things I want to get done, buddy. So I'm glad I know a guy.
There you go. And we also going to be offering hats, of course, with the patches on them. So you'll be able to get the dark leather look on them, the lighter leather look on them. So we're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. So we also, we're doing laser engraving. We have that up and going. So we got all the machines in and everything's rolling now.
Y'all got the laser engraver. What are you going to be engraving with the laser?
We're going to be able to engrave all kinds of stuff.
Trophies.
Trophies. We're going to be able to do plaques. We're going to be
hat patches.
Anything.
Leather, stuff like that on a hat patch. Okay.
Yes, this right here, it's a little bit dark with my lighting, but we'll be able to do all kinds of stuff. So
I think that's super cool, man.
So we're going to grow this thing, but we launched the Facebook page today. It's Carolina Custom Apparel and Embroidery. So
I'll do everything I can do to help you guys be successful, and I'm going to get the guys to help. So
yeah, we appreciate y'all guys. So just another step, we're growing again.
And Micah, you get Micah's he's got hats, bait towels, t-shirts.
Yeah, t-shirts, stickers, tumblers, coffee cups.
That's all at Laid Back Creations.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's Laid Back Creations. Jimmy Grundon. He's a Carolina Lake Weight supporter. You can get those from his website. I think it's laidbackcreations.com.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of guys rocking the redneck team redneck catfishing.
Yeah. It's kind of neat to see that.
That is.
Speaking of that, I've got to definitely get me some here shortly, Mike. So I'll be
well, I appreciate it, but like I said before, I make zero profit off of that stuff. So
yeah, I think that's cool, Micah. What are you going to try to? I mean, what do you do for a living?
Well, currently I'm a government contractor, that and fish. But
and do you really think you're going to make like a living selling T-shirts?
No. What it is is
why even try? I mean, it's just cool that you got supporters, really.
Yeah, it's because the biggest thing is he bought the equipment. He tried to get started just like anybody else has, and
I think that's super cool of you to be able to, because it gives him a little bit of promotion where guys are like, oh, I want to support Micah. Let me go over to Laid Back Creations and buy some of this stuff, and it helps Jimmy.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, because he's had a pretty well, life kind of hit him in a crossways path. So where he couldn't work like he wants to, and this is just to help him and his family make a little extra money. And if I can help him do that, then that's awesome. But I make $0, 0 pennies off of anything.
I think that's cool, man.
Awesome.
I was going to get Jamie and Rebecca to make my stuff, and I'm like, can I get y'all to make my stuff, and then when somebody wants something, I can just get you to y'all ship it. I'll pay for it. Like just because it's a hassle for us to have the stuff at our house.
Yeah.
$15 to ship something for me or you.
Well, see, even for like when me and my wife were talking about this, it was outrageous as far as like
crazy.
Finding somebody to make
the product.
Yeah, so it was just easier that, and I get to help somebody out in the process. I'm all about it, man. I mean, of course now it's his headache, so he's got to worry about that stuff.
Yeah, but isn't it cool? Like if you want some of your own gear, it's like, okay, I just let me go order some stuff from Jimmy rather than I got to go order 30 of these things, and then I got to sit over here and ship all this crap out to people.
That's what it's about. It's helping our brothers and sisters out, our family. If everybody sticks together, man, this thing it's fun. It really is.
That's the thing. That's the thing about it, man. I tell you what, the catfishing, and y'all have seen it grow. But the thing is we just can't let it get to the point where we're always, going against each other for one reason or another.
Yeah, I mean, we're all. I love partnering with guys, and we got a ton of partners. Jamie's like, what, like. I'm like, we're going to let's partner with these guys, and we're not really getting any monetary value out of it. It's just we all help each other, and I think that's cool to be able to help guys like Rich with Operation Vets with Nets. We're all partnered up with him, and we help him. He helps us. I think it's mutually beneficial for all of us, even though
it's just
we can't put a number on any of it.
It's the same with me. I've been given a platform. Okay. Yeah. So because a little over a year ago, y'all didn't know me. You know what I mean? So I've been given a platform, and what I want to do is I want to take this platform. I want to build it, but I want to carry as many people as I possibly can with me.
That's it.
And if it's, I don't care what brand you use. I don't care what it is. I don't care. If you love catching fish, you're my man. You're the woman I want to go fishing with or whatever.
I'm the same way. I don't care what you use. If you're for me though, I want to be around like-minded individuals.
Yes.
I like to be around guys that want to help other people. Jamie's the type of guy that I like to be around. Micah, you're the type of guy I like to be around. Matt Knight, same type of guy. Peter Dries, same type of guy. These are all the same type of guys. It's very, even though we all come from different walks of life, we're very similar in nature. We enjoy helping other people figure things out. And Jamie's allowed me to build these teams. I love helping these guys get to where they want to be. I think promoting other people more than you promote yourself. And that's what Jamie does. That's what you do. I
can anyway.
I try. I got to say, for myself and Rebecca, we enjoyed it. We were able to do this, and we enjoy giving back all that we can. And Mike, I want to tell you, thank you for all the support that you've given us here at Carolina Lakeway.
Hey, well, off of that expo, I'm still waiting for my payroll check.
Hey,
me too, man. Me too. Where's my money?
I thought Rebecca sent it to you, brother. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. It must have just got lost in the mail. That's all right.
There you go.
Hey, I'll tell you, Chris, was you there? Did you come to that expo?
Yeah, I was there. I gave you a freaking hug, you big burly freaking Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Oh no, the one in Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, because his booth was set up next to the Mad Cats one, right? So The guys would come over and talk to me about rods and stuff like that, and I talked to them about dragging, and they're like, "Oh, well, what if this about dragging stuff?" I don't know. I said, "Well, there just happens to be the perfect booth right next door. Let's go over and check out what they got."
Yep, sure did. We appreciate you too, brother.
Yeah. It was just super convenient because it helped me better understand, or helped me better explain and help them understand exactly what I'm talking about. And then, you made a few sales that day, so that's cool.
There you go. And I will tell you, that was a lot of fun. I can't wait for CatCon.
I can't either, man. I'm already getting fired up for it. My son's like, think Flathead Luke's going to be there? I'm like, he's going to be there. And so are all my other buddies. And it's going to be you think we had fun last year? We're going to have a lot more fun this year.
Well, I'll have my fish there this year.
Oh, man. The guy that did that mount did a great job.
He did. I go pick it up Friday this week, and then I'll have it up there for CatCon.
I thought about getting you to send me a picture of that and using that as the thumbnail tonight.
You could have. Well, yeah, I could have. You're right.
But the last thumbnail was you with your giant freaking state record ×2. So I figured, the graph picture is probably good with Micah pointing it.
But yeah, seriously, if y'all are on here and you want to learn a little bit more about what will help look for stuff, check out that video that I got. Seriously.
Yeah. And brother, like I said, thank you so much for being on the show tonight, man. I know we've had a crowd in here the whole show, and everybody just loves learning, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. We appreciate you coming on, Micah. You're welcome back anytime. You're part of the family. You're like a brother to us now. I'm teamed up with you on a couple different teams.
Yeah.
Jackie, we're all on the same teams now as well. So Mad Cats, SmackDown,
knickknacks.
It's all you got knickknacks now?
Huh?
You got a knickknack board, Micah?
No, I got Fat Fish Designs.
Okay. Like, oh man, you need to get you a knickknack.
Yeah, well, Eric, he did me a solid on the board that I got. So,
they do a good job. I got one of their Kevin Parks had one of their planer board caddies made for me that goes on my multi-bar, and I'm like, man, I love that thing. It's no more stepping on boards in the bottom of the boat. So.
Or blowing out.
Yeah, or blowing out. Yeah, you lose 2 or 3 sets a year blowing them out. So So nobody even held up a Mad Cat's rod. I'm always holding up my Mad Cat's rod. I got
my office. Here. Yeah, my office ain't finished yet, so I'm going to have a different backdrop.
I got 16 of them in the boat.
Yeah.
So.
And all of mine's still on the boat.
It goes without saying, we freaking love Mad Cats. So, guys, is there any other sponsors we need to mention tonight that we haven't?
Well, I just like to say, myself, there you go.
Knickknacks, baby. Parks planer boards. Hey, how about this one? This is my favorite.
Jackson.
I've had a ton of guys saying, man, they're loving those hooks. I'll tell you, man, we've been freaking hammering them on those hooks. So good deal. We got one of Dale's guys last week. We got Timothy. We got 2 of them. We got Flathead Luke and his dad, Timothy Langley, and they're with Dale's, but now they're with us, and we partner with Dale's at Carolina Lake Weights. So we're going to be naming a Flathead Luke rig or something very soon.
That'd be awesome.
We like to try to, Jamie, I say we, I'm Carolina Lake Weights too, but Jamie likes to honor the kiddos, which I love because I got one of them that's on the team. So we're going to be doing that with Flathead Luke.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have had some of your fish picks from today. Micah.
Yeah, me too.
But I forgot to pull those off. But I think we got through most of the stuff. I know there's some graphics we didn't go through. I don't know about that one, or that one we got to. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, well, some of that's just we're just going over the same stuff.
This is Operation Vets with Nets. So anybody that wants to support the cause, which is getting vets out on the water for real therapy. We take active military as well as retired vets out on the water for real therapy. It's a nonprofit. You can go to operationvetswithnets.org. You can make a charitable donation. If you're a good fisherman, you can get set up to take people out on the water. You can buy merchandise just to support the cause. We're trying to raise funds for another vet boat. We got a big tournament coming up next year that's already been scheduled. So go over to operationvetswithnets.org and help us get to where we're trying to go and help the vets. So I know, Micah, you're a vet, so appreciate your service, buddy. I know you're with the Operation Vets with Nets, so I'm glad to be teamed up with you on 3 different.
So what I'm doing now is I'm actually teamed up with our local VA rep out here in Stewart County, and which it's not through Vets with Nets, but I still, if they got somebody
it's
around,
all good.
Well, because what he does is if somebody around goes through him to go fishing, then I take him. But I work real close because I'm not even I live on the backside of Fort Campbell. So that's where I get a lot of the guys that I take out, and it's a lot of fun for me. It really is. You guys were talking about this. I think it was either last show or show before last about just seeing other people catching fish and catching their PBs and stuff like that. It's been pretty awesome to do, especially guys that's never been catfishing before. Those are the ones I really love.
Yeah, that makes for a good time, not just for them, but for you. I mean. It just provides a different level of excitement than when you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah, because a lot of these guys that I take out, they are, they've always been bank fishermen, or they may have piddled with, a little bit of bass fishing, a little bit of bluegill fishing and stuff. And I take them out, and then, they even start off with just seeing the rods or the rod holders, and they're like, golly, what are we going after? Sharks, this, that, and the other. It's like, no, but pretty close.
I think what's really cool, Micah, is when a guy is on your level of fishing or Jamie's level of fishing, you're able to go give the regular guy an experience he's never had. It's not just to say, oh, you guys are the most awesome fishermen in the world, but it's really not that difficult for you guys to go do something like that for somebody. And it's life-changing, which I think's really awesome and cool. And so,
well, the biggest thing that I love too is I do take out either vets or they're or still active duty, or even National Guard guys, stuff like that that I've taken out. And it's for me being there, doing that, got the t-shirts, we relate on a lot of different issues, and I'll just leave it at that. But we relate on a lot of the issues, and I think that helps them in a lot of ways. And then plus we have a great time talking about it, we catch a fish or two. Awesome. We catch a monster fish. Well, that's even better. That's just adding icing to the cake,
Yeah. That's the good stuff right there.
Yeah.
So we're also teamed up with SmackDown. All three of us are with Team SmackDown. So go over to SmackDown Rod Holders and get you some, boys. They're built for the beast. They can handle anything in the river or the lake. I know there's something that's about to drop. I have a feeling it's dropping real soon. It's that Micah 2.0, y'all. So just keep your eyes peeled. He's not going to tell us when. I think he probably has an idea when it might generally be coming.
Yeah, I have kind of an idea. It's been kind of pushed back a couple of times for business reasons, not nothing to do with the product or nothing. It's just contract issues between the manufacturer, but that's getting all squared away. So they'll be coming soon.
I hear guys every week saying 2.0. Where's that 2.0?
Well, if you hear guys, then you know how many questions I get about it every day. So, but it's cool. I try to, because I don't want to give them a good answer or give them just an answer and then it be wrong. It's going to be soon. It will definitely be soon. What I can say is it will come out no later than CatCon, but I'm hoping before the end of the year.
I'm hoping it's before then, and I know they drop something new every week, damn near every day it seemed like, but
almost
there's something every week. But they said there's big things that are happening in the Mad Catz lab, and I'm thinking it might be the 2.0, but what do I know?
It's going to be pretty cool, though. I think a lot of people will appreciate it.
Trying to figure out Matt Knight's time frame on things is like trying to figure out the lottery numbers. But we appreciate all the support that he gives all three of us. He's an awesome teammate, team leader. Same with SmackDown, same with Carolina Lightweights, all very similar in nature. So I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate all of y'all. Micah, what you've done for me and the show, I think it's super cool. You don't have to do any of this. You're a very open and giving guy. Jamie is the exact same type of guy. I like to think of myself as the same type of guy. That's probably why we get along so well. And the same goes for pretty much our whole group of guys. It's very similar in nature. So you're welcome to come back anytime, brother.
And I will. I think we'll come up with we'll come up with a different subject next time. We'll figure out something just that, because it's the little niches that we do that make us successful. We
and Jamie talk about it. I think it's cool. Each season we got a little something different. Everything changes with catfishing. What I'm doing this month is not what I'm doing next month, and it's not what I'm doing 3 months from now. It changes, and pretty dramatically from fall to winter back to spring. So,
brother, think it's cool. I like I said, I want to say thank you again for being on the show tonight, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me, for sure.
I really have. And Chris,
Micah, I know our guys love you. Well, our guys are a lot of our guys are your guys. We all share a lot of the same guys. We're all similar, like-minded guys. I feel like a lot of the guys that are kind of follow us are not just starting out. They've been catfishing, and they may want to learn kind of how you catch these big ass fish, or how Jamie wins these tournaments, or how I catch a ton of these big fish all in one trip. But we just keep doing what we do and helping guys, and we appreciate you, buddy.
I appreciate you again. Like I said, y'all having me on the show.
Jeff Martin says this is flat. He likes Flathead 101, but that's not my game, buddy. I can give you Blue Cat 301, but I don't know. Out of this group, Jamie's probably your Flathead guy. Micah, he's just the record collector. My son, if we had my son in here, he knows how to break a lot of records too. But
I'm gonna tell you, Rebecca's probably got more flatheads than I do. So
she's got a knack for catching those damn things. I don't know what it is.
That's it.
But we appreciate you, Micah. We'll do it again sometime. And guys, everybody that's come in and supported us tonight, we really appreciate it. We do this just because we love you guys and we like helping people. We also get as much help out of it as probably anyone.
I know I do. That's why I watch every week.
I learned from Micah. I learned from Jamie. I learned from every one of our guests, and I just like to soak it up. So we're going to keep doing it because it's fun, and that's the main thing. We're just going to keep trying to have fun doing it. So
That's it. That's it.
anything else, boys, before we call it a night?
No,
Nope.
I think I'm good.
We're good, brother.
Head on over to Micah Burkhart at YouTube. That's the name of your channel, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike Burkhart. You can go over to Carolina Lake Weights YouTube channel. You can go over to El Gato Azul TV on YouTube. Go get you some Carolina Lake Weights. Go pick up some swag from Micah at Laid Back Creations. And I think that's it for tonight, boys and girls. So tight lines and God bless. Azul out.
Later, y'all.